How to know when you are in the fifth dimension. As promised in my latest video, this week I'm going to tell you how to know when you are in the fifth dimension. We move from the third to the fifth throughout our day, throughout our week and our life. And there is so much power in the fifth dimension. If you haven't seen the first video, I recommend you watch it and then come back to this one to power up your awakening journey. The link is above. Hi beautiful souls, I'm Carol Rathel, occupational therapist, metaphysical minister. This channel is about empowering you on your spiritual journey to tune into your inner wisdom so you can live the life you chose to create when you came here for this life experience. Most people on this planet at this time are anchored in the third dimension, yet many of us are already shifting into the fifth dimension. It is our mission to do this. The whole process has been planned by Earth and Source and by millions of souls who chose to help this process of ascension. Humanity has been lagging behind on this, and Earth sent a call out into the universe for help. Millions of higher vibrational beings answered that call and are incarnated on Earth right now. If you are watching this video, you are most likely one of those souls who came to help. In order to help Earth and her people to shift into the fifth dimension, it requires souls who are anchored in the sixth dimension and above to assist this process. This probably means you came to facilitate the shift, and now I'm going to help you remember who you are by showing you when you are operating in the fifth dimension and higher. The fundamental difference between the third dimension and the fifth dimension is that in the third, we are operating from our ego, which is largely focused in fear. Life is driven by the need to be safe, and all the crimes, dramas, pettiness of people who are trying to feel safe in the world. It leads to judgment, separation, and a selfish focus on getting ahead, often at the detriment of other people. I am generalizing here. In the fifth dimension, we are operating from a higher self, and the focus is on knowing we can create our reality, and we can create it deliberately. The focus is on unconditional love, non-judgment, and an awareness that we are all one. We know that we are one humanity, and so our motivation is to serve the one and benefit the one. As we begin our personal journey of ascension, we shift between the third dimension into the fourth, which is a bridge, and the fifth dimension. And just to clarify, they are not places. Both dimensions exist here simultaneously, and we do not physically shift. We are moving our consciousness into a higher vibration. The more you do this, the more you can anchor in the fifth dimension, and life will change around you. You will be able to manifest your desires faster and will draw more higher vibrational people into your life. So now let's get specific. How do you know when you are in the fifth dimension? When you are experiencing a challenging problem in your life, as we all encounter in life, when you worry about the outcome of it, you are focusing through a lens of the third dimension. When you look at the same problem from the point of view that it will all work out in the best way for you, you are looking at it through the lens of the fifth dimension. When you know there are lessons for you in this challenge and choose to learn those lessons, you are focusing through the fifth dimension. And also when you know you can create the desired outcome and use your power to manifest that outcome, again, you are looking at it through your lens of the fifth dimension. Let's look now at how we deal with people acting in unconscious and unloving ways. When we judge a person as being evil or see them as being a bad person because of what they do, we are looking at them through the third dimensional lens. It is judgment. Ego judges, and fear drives the judgment. So when we see them through our fifth dimensional lens, we see them as being on their own journey. Their actions provide us opportunities to use our discernment, so we may choose not to associate with them and take steps of wisdom to protect our sacred space, our body, our home, our family. When we see that all people in the world we have thought to be bad as a tool to help us awaken and make loving choices, then we are seeing that through the lens of the fifth dimension. We see their behavior as the darkness, perhaps, that allows us to choose to bring in the light. Their actions generate fear for those who are not awake, but for those of us looking through the fifth dimension, we see the lessons their behavior bring us. Also, before this life experience, certain souls wanted to know forgiveness and wanted to know unconditional love for the benefit of their awakening journey. In order to learn these things, someone had to volunteer and be the darkness. When confronted with this darkness, the souls who wanted to learn unconditional love have the opportunities to learn these qualities. So ultimately, we are all playing roles for the benefit of each other, for the benefit of their soul's growth. Speaking of feeling, when we are focused in the fifth dimension, we operate from our hearts rather than our minds. Of course, we use our mind to use discernment and to interpret what our heart feels, but we are largely heart-centered. And when we are heart-centered, this means that when we encounter a person who might be acting in an unloving way because of fear, we can bypass judgment and instead open our heart to send them love, which helps them feel safe and lets them know they are worthy of love, regardless of what they are doing. And this energy that comes through our heart is powerful and does more for them than you can possibly imagine. Let me give you the analogy of a tuning fork. When you have two tuning forks designed to maybe make the tone of A above middle C on a piano, when you tap one tuning fork, the other tuning fork begins to make the same sound. The vibration of the first tuning fork causes the other to resonate at the same frequency. We do this too. When we can see those people acting in an unloving way as part of ourselves who are just not awake yet, we affect their resonance when we send them love. Their energy field is affected in ways they may not be conscious of. It might be our love helps them make a different decision next time, and maybe they may operate out of a loving resonance. You never know what happens. Everything we do, whether energetically or physically, affects everyone on the planet. However, if we see them as a bad person and we judge them, we are lowering our energy and anchoring ourselves firmly in the lower range of the third dimension, and it causes our hearts to close and it restricts our energy. So sending love, holding in our hearts an unconditional love for all, means we are working in the focus of the fifth dimension. When a person is experiencing the emotions of anger, shame, and all those undesirable emotions that can be bothersome to us, we don't like experiencing all of that. So in the third dimensional focus, we try to avoid feeling. This can manifest as addictions to numb our feelings, or create distractions so that we look somewhere else rather than inwards. It means we don't process our emotions, and they can do great harm when we hold on to them. When we experience our emotions through the lens of the fifth dimensional reality, we know that when we experience those emotions to the fullest extent, then they will leave our body and leave our energy field when it is time for them to go. It also allows us to choose to think of those higher feeling vibrations, and we know not to bring back all that pain and lingering resentment, because we know that life happens for us, not against us. This is one amazing gift of seeing life through the fifth dimensional awareness. A personal story here. One day I was in the third dimensional space of anxiety about money, of all things. Like, we don't relate to that, do we? It wasn't at all good feeling to be in that fear. And of course the fear compounded on itself. So I was in the grip of this anxiety. And then I heard my inner wisdom. Is this what you really believe, Carol? That snapped me right out of being unconscious. And I could totally see what I was doing. And then I was guided to get up. I took a deep breath in, stretched my arms and body as tall as I could, and then when I reached the absolute apex, I swept my hands down, expelled my breath, and all the negative energy just got taken down through my body and into the floor. I asked Earth to take it and use it for good, because this is what she does. And I immediately anchored myself in the fifth dimension. It felt great straight away. My complete set of thoughts shifted, and downloads came to me of my power as a spiritual being, ideas for what I can do to set myself on the journey towards abundance. I completely trusted that life is happening for me, not against me. It was absolutely a transformational experience. I highly recommend you use that process, because it's an instant shifting process. And the more we wake up to what is going through our mind and what we are feeling, and choose to shift into five-dimensional awareness, the more and more we anchor our awareness in the fifth dimension. So the main takeaway I would like to give to you is that fear and heavy emotions anchor us in the third dimension. Compassion, love, excitement, and trust are emotions of the fifth dimension. We swing between these two realities, and don't beat yourself up for when you're in the third dimension. Just choose to change your focus to the fifth dimension, and you will be there more and more until eventually your life is anchored in the fifth dimension. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Tap the like button, and I invite you to share your experience that you noticed when you were in the fifth dimension from what you have learnt in my video. I look forward to seeing you, and I will be waiting for you in the next video. Bye for now.